Welcome to our open book. John Mahoney, Jeremy Sicking, Aaron Smith, S.R. O'Brien, John O'Hara, Linda Grimm, Angela Neary. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Maybe it's Canary, Diana Lynch, Dorothy Joy. What a joy you've had that. Catherine Capel, Karen Smith, also Elise Madeleine, Carla Atkinson, Klaatu Forever, John Mahoney. Back from Portugal. Good for you. This beautiful Franklin Library edition of Hemingway short stories. A rainy day, and reminded me, by the way, I found a clipping in here. An old review of Islands in the Stream by Joe Gold, Boyum, Wall Street Journal. Remember newspapers? Wonder how this got in here. This is quite an arresting story. I first read it years ago. It's very moving. Conscious, deliberate, and yet leaves you up in the air. Do I mean on the ground? So let me just read Ernest Hemingway's short story, The Cat in the Rain. There were only two Americans stopping at the hotel. They did not know any of the people they passed on the stairs on their way to and from their room. Their room was on the second floor facing the sea. It also faced the public garden and the war monument. There were big palms and green benches in the public garden. In the good weather, there was always an artist with his easel. Artists liked the way the palms grew and the bright colors of the hotels facing the gardens and the sea. Italians came from a long way off to look up at the war monument. It was made of bronze and glistened in the rain. It was raining. The rain dripped from the palm trees. Water stood in pools on the gravel paths. The sea broke in a long line in the rain and slipped back down to the beach to come up and break again in a long line in the rain. The motor cars were gone from the square by the war monument, and across the square, in the doorway of the cafe, a waiter stood, looking out at the empty square. The American wife stood at the window, looking out. Outside, right under their window, a cat was crouched under one of the dripping green tables. The cat was trying to make herself so compact that she would not be dripped on. God, that just wrings my heart. I'm going down and get that kitty, the American wife said. I'll do it, her husband offered from the bed. No, I'll get it. The poor kitty out trying to keep dry under a table. The husband went on reading, lying propped up with two pillows at the foot of the bed. Don't get wet, he said. The wife went downstairs, and the hotel owner stood up and bowed to her as she passed the office. His desk was at the far end of the office. He was an old man and very tall. Il piove, the wife said. She liked the hotel keeper. Si, signora, brutto tempo. It's very bad weather. Sorry for my accent. He stood behind the desk in the far end of the dim room. The wife liked him. She liked the deadly serious way he received any complaints. She liked his dignity. She liked the way he wanted to serve her. She liked the way he felt about being a hotel keeper. She liked his old, heavy face and big hands. Oh, thank you, Marianne. Coming from you, that's quite a compliment. Liking him She opened the door and looked out. It was raining harder. A man in a rubber cape was crossing the empty square to the cafe. The cat would be around to the right. Perhaps she could go along under the eaves. She stood out in the doorway, an umbrella opened behind her. It was the maid who looked after their room. "You must not get wet," she smiled, speaking Italian. Of course, the hotel keeper had sent her. With the maid holding the umbrella over her, she walked along the gravel path until she was under their window. The table was there, washed bright green in the rain, but the cat was gone. She was suddenly disappointed. The maid looked up at her. "Ah, per tutto qualche cosa, signora." "There was a cat," said the American girl. "A cat?" "Sì, il gatto." "A cat?" the maid laughed. "A cat in the rain?" "Yes," she said, "under the table. Then—" Oh, I wanted it so much. I wanted a kitty. When she talked English, the maid's face tightened. "Come, signora," she said. "We must get back inside. You will be wet." "I suppose so," said the American girl. I went back along the gravel path and past the door. The maid stayed outside to close the umbrella. As the American girl passed the office, the padrone bowed from his desk. Something felt very small and tight inside the girl. The padrone made her feel very small and at the same time really important. She had a momentary feeling of being of supreme importance. She went up the stairs. She opened the door of the room. George was on the bed reading. "Did you get the cat?" he asked, putting the book down. It was gone. "Wonder where it went to," he said, resting his eyes from reading. She sat down on the bed. "I wanted it so much," she said. "I don't know why I wanted it so much. I wanted that poor kitty." It wasn't any fun to be a poor kitty out in the rain. George was reading again. She went over and sat in front of the mirror of the dressing table, looking at herself with the hand glass. She studied her profile. First one side, then the other. She studied the back of her neck and her neck. "Don't you think it would be a good idea if I let my hair grow out?" she asked, looking at her profile again. George looked up and saw the back of her neck, clipped close like a boy's. "I like it the way it is." "I got so tired of it," she said. "I get so tired of looking like a boy." George shifted his position in the bed. He hadn't looked away from her since she started to speak. "You look pretty darn nice," he said. She laid the mirror down on the dresser and went over to the window and looked out. It was getting dark. "I want to pull my hair back tight and smooth and make a big knot at the back that I can feel," she said. "I want to have a kitty to sit on my lap and purr when I stroke her." "Yeah," George said, from the bed. And I want to eat at a table with my own silver, and I want candles, and I want it to be spring, and I want to brush my hair out in front of a mirror, and I want a kitty." And I want some new clothes. Oh, shut up and get something to read, George said. He was reading again, too. His wife was looking out of the window. It was quite dark now, and still raining in the palm trees. Anyway, I want a cat, she said. I want a cat. I want a cat now. If I can't have long hair, any fun, I can have a cat. George was not listening. He was reading his book. His wife looked out of the window where the light had come on in the square. Someone knocked on the door. Avante, George said. Can you see where this is going? He looked up from his book. In the doorway stood the maid. She held a big tortoiseshell cat pressed tight against her and swung down against her body. Excuse me, she said. The padrone asked me to bring this for the signora. Wow. Just when you think the cat is gone, the cat is back. Now, I have read there are Hemingway scholars that said this is obviously evocative of the relationship and probably actual conversations and circumstances between Hemingway, and Hadley. We know Ernest Hemingway loved cats. So thank you, right? Also, Elise, yes, I know, but a Hemingway cat with 5 toes. That's not specified in the story, but it's just beautifully done. And the use of language, and as literary critics have pointed out, I mean, to his own phrase, the dignity of the iceberg derives from the fact that most of it is not visible but underwater. That's how it goes about with prose. As I hope a lot of you will read in the book that we have coming out in a few months, Ulysses as Cat and Other Animals I Have Known. We certainly went through this period with one of our daughters, and we would no, we couldn't get a cat, but then we'd see one on the street, and by the time we'd get there, the cat would be gone or spoken for or all kinds of stuff like that. And then, of course, eventually, the formidable Gato Blanco came into our lives. Lots of good pictures of him in the book. And I can't wait to see what Liana Fink, the great cartoonist, does. So that's our open book for tonight. I know it's a short one. Thank you for being with us. We had the most wonderful interview with Sir Anthony Hopkins this afternoon. It's not for the show this week. Yeah, Katkus didn't stay away. I think something passed between them, Diana. That'd be my guess. It'll be for next week. Yes, absolutely, SR. I mean, this is one of those big Franklin Library editions. Yes, and Sir Anthony said, "Yeah, call me Tony." Tony. Not sure I can do that with a straight face, But he was delightful, and he has, at the end of his book, a number of his favorite poems, and I think we might have a special recitation of them one night. So we don't know about tomorrow night yet. Lots of it hanging up, and I've got a studio schedule. Stuff going on. Tony, I can't do it with a straight face, can I, Elise? No. Sir Anthony. In any event, Caroline not with us for the next couple of days. I'm going to try and walk a certain dog now. See you later. Thanks for being on our open book. We'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.